Think about your go-to role in every team-based game you played. Were you always the tank, leading the charge and taking the hits? The support, quietly keeping everyone alive from the backline? Or maybe you're the sniper, perched far away, landing that perfect shot? What if I told you that choice reveals more about your personality than you think? Psychologists and researchers have actually studied this, and the results are surprisingly accurate. Your favorite role might reveal how you handle pressure, whether you're a natural leader, or even how much empathy you have. In this video, we're breaking down what your role says about you. Before we dive in, a quick disclaimer. This isn't some rigid personality quiz. Everyone is different, and we all switch roles depending on the game or even the day. Most of us have that one role we always come back to, the one that just feels right. I got curious and decided to dig into the psychology behind it and found some pretty interesting results. Turns out, your favorite game role might not be random at all. We're breaking down the three main roles: tank, support and DPS, plus two unique subtypes, sniper and flanker, and showing you what your go-to role might reveal about how you think, act and connect with others, both in game and in real life. The three main roles. Almost every team-based game, from World of Warcraft to League of Legends, Overwatch or Team Fortress 2, runs on the same basic structure: tank, support, DPS. These roles might look different in each game, but their purpose is almost always the same. Think of them as a triangle, each corner doing something completely different, but all three working together to make the team function. The tank is the frontliner. They take the hits, they lead the charge and they protect the team. The support helps keep the team alive, healing, buffing, slowing enemies or even providing recon. The DPS, or the damage dealer, is focused on just one thing: dealing as much damage as possible and taking down enemies fast. Different games may use different labels. Some say healer instead of support, or split DPS into snipers, flankers, assassins. But underneath it all, it's still these three core playstyles. The thing is, even if you've tried all the roles at some point, most of us tend to gravitate towards one. One role just feels right. The one you pick in every game, the one you default to when things get sweaty. And that preference is not just about gameplay, it often reflects how you think, how you work with others, and what kind of challenges you're naturally drawn to. That's where the psychology comes in, because researchers have found real patterns between the roles people choose and the personality traits, from risk tolerance to empathy to leadership style. So now that you know the roles, let's take a closer look, starting with the one that's always first in, last out, the tank. Tanking is all about being the front line, the wall between your team and everything trying to kill them. You're usually the one who goes in first, the one who draws attention, takes the hits and controls the pace of the fight. In MMOs, like World of Warcraft, you're pulling enemies, holding aggro and keeping bosses off your squishy teammates. In Overwatch, you're Reinhardt swinging a hammer with a giant shield up, or Winston jumping into the backline to create space. In MOBAs, you're the initiator, the one with the crowd control, diving into the enemy team so your damage dealers can clean up. Basically, you're the one who steps up so no one else has to. Good tanks don't just survive, they lead. They decide when to engage, where to hold and when to back off. And when a tank does fall apart, the whole team usually follows. That's why tanking isn't just about having the most health or armor. It's about timing, positioning, and making decisions under pressure, in real time while everyone's depending on you. So what kind of person actually wants to be the one that takes all the hits? Tank mains are usually the ones who feel responsible for the whole team, not just for surviving, but for making sure everyone else does too. Psychologists would call that a high level of conscientiousness. You like to stay in control, keep things organized, and take your role seriously. In real life, you're probably the one who shows up early, makes the plan, or carries the extra weight in group projects. You might not love being in charge, but if no one else steps up, you will, because deep down, you'd rather take the pressure yourself than watch things fall apart. You're also probably someone who stays calm under pressure. One study found that tank players were less neurotic than other roles, meaning that they handle stress better and don't panic when things go wrong. Which makes sense, right? When 5 enemies are charging at you, the last thing your team needs is someone who freaks out. Tanks also tend to be natural leaders, not always loud, but decisive. You might not love giving orders, but when things are unclear, people naturally look to you. You're probably also someone who says, okay, here's the plan, when everyone else is arguing about what to do. You're the one who says, let's push now, or hold here. And when nobody knows what to do, they look to you. Because tanking isn't just about durability, it's about influence. You control space, you decide when to fight, you create openings for your team to win. That kind of gameplay appeals to people who are protective, assertive, and are willing to take on risk for the sake of the group. Tank mains don't usually need praise to feel good. Just knowing that the fight went well because of you is often enough. So if you're a tank main, there's a good chance you're confident, stable under pressure, and willing to lead from the front. Not for glory, but because you know someone has to. You're the one who keeps the team together when things get chaotic. You're the backbone. You're the shield. You're the one who steps up. Support. Support roles are the unsung heroes of almost every game. You're not leading the charge, you're not racking up a kill streak, but the team doesn't survive without you. Your job is to keep everyone else alive, whether it's healing, buffing, shielding, or disrupting enemies. Make sure the rest of the team can actually do their job. In Overwatch, that's characters like Mercy, Ana, or Lucio, healing from the backline, coordinating with tanks. In MMOs like World of Warcraft, you're keeping the raid alive, balancing cooldowns, watching everyone's health bars at once. And in MOBAs, you're the utility god, slowing enemies, speeding up allies, dropping wards. But here's the thing. Playing support well takes a different kind of skill. You're not just focusing on one thing. You're tracking cooldowns, health, enemy positions, and team movement all at once. You have to think ahead, position perfectly, and make decisions that keep everyone else alive, even if they barely notice. And honestly, when you pull it off, it's one of the most satisfying roles in the entire game. Not because you did all the damage, but because the team couldn't have done it without you. When everyone else is chasing kills or trying to be the hero, you're the one watching everyone else's back. And that says a lot about how you think, because support players tend to have some pretty unique traits. First off, support players are usually high in empathy. You're constantly tuned into other people, their needs, their mistakes, their health bars. You see when someone's struggling, and your instinct is to help. That's not just a playstyle, that's a mindset. One that values cooperation, awareness, and keeping things running smoothly. You probably score higher on agreeableness too. That trait links to compassion, patience, and working well with others. In real life, this might look like you being the one who keeps your friend group organized, the one who checks in when someone's quiet, or the one who takes on the annoying tasks at work because nobody else will. You're not trying to steal the spotlight. You're here to lift the whole team, even if that means that you don't show up on the scoreboard. And let's be real, a lot of the time no one notices you until you're gone. That's why support mains also tend to be humble and internally motivated. You don't need flashy stats to feel like you made a difference. You know you did. There's a level of emotional intelligence in support players. You have to read situations quickly, anticipate what others will do, and often make split decisions that will save the team. Support mains are often the friend who notices when something's off, even when no one's saying anything. You're probably that person who senses when the vibe changes in the room, or who picks up on what someone's not saying. And at the same time, you're probably great at multitasking and seeing the big picture, not just what's right in front of you. And yeah, support mains are usually the ones that keep the team sane in voice chat too. When everyone else is blaming each other, you're usually the one who says, "Hey guys, let's just regroup." Whether you realize it or not, that's a stabilizer personality. You step in when the team needs direction, not for control, but to bring the group back together, to give everyone a second chance. One study on Overwatch players even found that those players who gravitate towards support roles have higher pro-social traits and lower aggression. Basically, they're more about helping than dominating. But don't mistake that for weakness. Good support players are tacticians. You're playing chess while the rest of your team's playing dodgeball. So if you're a support main, you're probably someone who's empathetic, team-focused, emotionally aware, and honestly, a bit of a lifeline, in-game and even maybe a little bit outside it. You don't play to be the star. You play to make sure that everyone else shines. That might mean you're the emotional anchor in your relationships, the quiet problem solver at school or work, the kind of person people naturally lean on even if they don't always say thank you. DPS. If tanks are the shield and supports are the lifeline, then DPS is the firepower. Your job is simple on paper: deal damage, and deal a lot of it. Where it's slicing through health bars, landing that headshot, or bursting someone down before they react. You're here to end fights. You're not waiting for things to happen, you make them happen. In hero shooters, you're the one taking duels and flanking the back line. In MMOs, you're keeping up your rotation, optimizing your output. In MOBAs, you're the carry, the one your team protects so you can melt the enemy. DPS is about impact. Fast-paced, fast reflexes, and knowing exactly when to go all in. It's the most mechanically demanding role in most games. You live for moments where everything lines up. You pop off, make the big play, and carry your team. And let's be honest, nobody forgets the DPS who clutched that game. You're not just playing to win, you're playing to leave a mark. DPS mains are built different. You're here to make that play. You're here to top the scoreboard, and you're here to leave the other team furious. This role isn't about keeping people alive or protecting a team. It's about doing damage, and that mindset, it says a lot about you. First, let's talk competitiveness. The best players tend to score higher in traits like assertiveness, goal orientation, and personal achievement. You don't just like winning, you also want to be the reason your team wins. You're probably someone who pushes limits, lives for high impact moments, and thrives in situations where you can show off your skill. Studies even show that DPS players tend to be less empathetic and a little more aggressive, in-game at least. That doesn't mean you're toxic, it just means your mindset is wired for control, speed, and domination. You're often independent too. DPS roles let you shine on your own terms. You don't need a micromanaged strategy, you just need enough space to pop off. That kind of playstyle attracts people who are self-reliant, maybe even a bit impulsive, willing to take a risk if the payoff is huge. Psychologically, DPS mains are more reward driven. You like fast feedback, instant gratification, and visible proof of your improvement, like higher damage, better aim, or more kills. You might even find yourself running skill routines, tweaking gear, or obsessing over numbers. That's because you measure success through performance. And when you win, that feels personal, because you did that. That's why DPS appeals to people who are action-oriented, ambitious, and not afraid to be the star of the show. But here's the thing, that drive comes with a lot of pressure too. A lot of DPS mains struggle with perfectionism or getting frustrated when they don't perform at their peak. Because when your role is all about output, it's easy to start measuring your worth by the scoreboard. So if you're a DPS main, you're probably someone who's competitive, fast thinking, high pressure tolerant, and maybe a little bit obsessed with self-improvement. You take responsibility for carrying your team. In real life, that might look like being the one who thrives under pressure, the person who volunteers to pitch in front of the class, take the last shot, or lead a charge on a tight deadline. You're probably someone who sets high goals, chases results, and gets genuinely fired up by competition. Whether it's sports, school, you might also be that person who hates wasting time, needs to see progress fast, and gets frustrated when something doesn't click with you right away. You move fast, aim high, and you're not afraid to put yourself in the spotlight. Sniper. But not all DPS are credited to be equal. Some want to be in the chaos, diving into fights, and lighting up the kill feed. But others, they prefer to sit back, wait, and end the fight with a single shot. Sniper mains are a different breed. They play the long game. They don't just run in, they calculate. The goal isn't to spray and pray, it's to watch, predict, and punish a mistake instantly. It's less about speed and more about precision. One shot, one kill. And if you miss, you don't get a lot of second chances. Snipers don't just need aim, they need map awareness, patience, and timing. It's about knowing where the enemy will be before they even get there, and making sure you're already waiting. When a sniper is on fire, they control the game. Enemies are too afraid to peek. One wrong step, and it's over. Snipers don't create pressure with sound or movement, they create pressure with presence. It's a completely different pace from most DPS. Slower, more surgical, and way less forgiving. That's why some players are drawn to it and others can't stand it. Sniper mains are usually not the loudest in the room. They're the ones watching quietly, thinking a few moves ahead, waiting for that moment that actually matters. And that's because sniping is less about raw aggression and more about control, precision, and patience. Sniper players tend to be strategic thinkers. They're observant, calculated, and usually prefer to line things up perfectly rather than rushing in. This aligns with personality traits like introversion, high focus, and even a bit of perfectionism. You don't just want to win, you want to win cleanly. That one perfect shot that ends everything. They do their job alone, and when they do it well, it changes everything. That independent playstyle attracts people who are comfortable on their own, who trust their instincts and don't mind being away from the action, as long as they are in control. You also see a strong connection to perfectionism in sniper mains, because when you miss, it feels bad, like really bad, because every shot matters, and if you get it wrong, it's all on you. That mindset often translates to real life. Sniper mains are the ones who rehearse until it's perfect, who obsess over timing, and who feel most satisfied when things are done with precision. Real-world sniper training, like military or tactical training, doesn't just look at aim. They look for people who are calm under pressure, focused and methodical, people who don't panic, people who don't act on emotion. So if you're a sniper main, there's a good chance you're the kind of person who prefers thinking over reacting, working solo and getting things right the first time. You don't chase chaos, you control it. From a distance, with one well-placed shot. Flanker or scout. Scout or flanker mains are basically controlled chaos. You're the wild card, and honestly, you like it that way. While tanks hold the front and snipers line up shots, you're already gone, looping behind, setting traps, chasing someone who thought they were safe. Flanker mains tends to be impulsive, bold and thrill-seeking. You're not afraid of taking risks. In fact, that's why you play this role. You're probably high in sensation seeking, the kind of person who loves fast decisions, fast movement and constant action. You get bored easily. Standing still, that's not happening. In psychology world, that's often tied to high energy, low inhibition and a bit of rebelliousness. You don't always follow the plan, but when it works, it's your play that turns the fight. You're creative, adaptive and you thrive on freedom, not structure. Flanker mains are also often independent thinkers. You don't need communication or approval, you just need a window. And even though you love playing solo, you still bring huge value to the team, just in your own way. In real life, you might be the friend who shows up with a wild idea, throws out the original plan, and then somehow still makes it all work. You're probably someone who likes trying new things, pushing boundaries, and working best when you got the room to improvise. You're a doer, not a sitter. You take the shot, you make the play, and move on before the dust settles. So if you're a scout or flanker main, you're probably spontaneous, creative, independent, and probably at times a little bit unpredictable. You're not here to follow the rules, you're here to bend them at full speed. So what does your main role say about you? Maybe you're the tank, the one who leads from the front, stays calm under pressure and makes everyone feel a little bit safer. Or the support, patient, empathetic, always watching the whole picture and making sure the team holds together. Maybe you're DPS, driven, competitive, always pushing for that perfect play. Or a sniper, calm, precise and waiting for your moment. Or the flanker, chaotic, creative and carving your own path. None of these are better than the others. They're just different reflections of how we think, how we lead, how we help and how we compete. And sure, it's just a game, but the roles we choose over and over again, they might just be showing us who we are when nobody's telling us what to do. So what do you main? And does it match who you are in real life? Let me know in the comments and watch this video if you want to learn about how gaming has lost its meaning.